Hi, my name is Stephen Kirsting, owner of Sharpshooter Industries. I don't normally do product reviews, but recently I acquired what I believe is the best monopod for wildlife photography, and I'd like to share that with you. I've owned a lot of monopods over the year, and a few of them I still have here examples of. This is the Benro Super Duper Pro. I bought this a couple years ago, and I really wanted to like this. It has the advantage of a built-in leveling head with Arca Swiss clamp, which means I don't need a head on top of the monopod. And it has a quick adjust lever action right there, which I was hoping would be more useful. But really, the adjustment range is too little, and for me, this is too much movement. Usually I only want a little bit of tilt or no movement at all. I don't want it flopping around. For me, this was a miss. This monopod is a Mogo pod. I probably had this a decade now, and it is one of the first quick adjust monopods. And it has a single adjustment, which would be really useful for wildlife photography. However, the adjustment is not convenient. It's down out of the way, and this is not rated very well for weight. It's like 8 pounds or something like that. So any pressure on it, it gives. And so this is also another miss. And there's one similar to this on Kickstarter right now that is also not rated very well. So for the past decade, if I used a monopod, it's been this, which is the Sirui P306 with the Sirui L10 head on it. It's just a tilt head, 4.5, that's all I need, if anything. This is an aluminum monopod. They do make a carbon fiber version, which is a little lighter, but not worth the cost difference in my opinion. And the advantage of this monopod is it's rated to 17 pounds, which is pretty good. It's very compact, so you're likely to carry it with you. Doesn't weigh much, 1 3/4 pounds with the head, and it's inexpensive. It costs under $150 as this is sitting here. So this was really what I settled on, and even though I get other monopods, I keep going back to this as my solution. However, the L10 head and the monopod are working right at their max limits. They're not, this is rated at 22 pounds for the head, and my kit's in 12 to 15 pounds often. That's not at the limit, but anytime you're getting close to the limit, you really have to, you lose finesse of adjustability. You're always cranking it down to the limits. So I was looking for something better, and I found it. And it is the Sirui SVM165. Okay, it is the big brother to the 145. The 165 is taller, but the tubes are the same diameter. It collapses almost as small, weighs slightly more. It's like 1/10 of a pound more weight and like 3 inches taller when collapsed. So all of that, the 165 is the better choice. Extra height is better for uneven terrain, and if you were doing overhead birds in flight or something like that, it's always better to have a little extra, especially when it doesn't cost you anything really. I've combined it with this Enduro TV4 TH4 tilt head, which is rated to 40 pounds. And that's nice. The disadvantage is it weighs a ½ pound more than the Sirui L10 I was using previously. Now to the monopod itself. It's rated to 22 pounds, which is good. The monopod's rated to 22 instead of something like 8 or 17. So every little bit extra helps. And it is super easy to adjust for height. Quarter turn on the grip here, it collapses, quarter turn, it extends it. So really quick, and I got full height, and it's convenient because it's right here where I need it to be, not down there near my knees. Now it does come with a tripod foot, which has a ball head type mechanism to it, which is, let me disassemble this. It just unplugs like that, the little quick release collar. And it's sturdy and it's light, relatively light. It'll support, I think this is where the 22-pound weight limit comes from, because I've put 15 pounds on it and it held it fine. And so I can see it being useful, but I don't have a use for it. It weighs a pound. I don't need it in the field for wildlife photography, and so I wish it was optional. It does include a screw-on rubber foot with an extendable spike. However, the spike is rather small, and for me, in use, it would tend to retract. So for me, that is a negative. I wish I had a dedicated fixed spike, longer spike than that. Now, because it is 3 sections, it is waterproof to about 20 inches. However, if you go to 24 inches, it fills up with water. And because this end is sealed and this end is sealed, it's very difficult to get the water back out of it. So for that, I drilled a small drain hole here in the bottom, and then I added a rubber washer to this so it would remain waterproof. And when I make the fixed spike for it, I will have a rubber boot and O-ring seal for it. Other thing, when I first got it, the tension between here and there were not equal. They did not lock up at the same point, so I had to really crank down on the friction adjustment here. The way this thing works is there's an expansion plug here that locks this tube, and inside this tube is a secondary tube which extends and jams up this, which is a standard friction collar like most tripods and monopods have. So a single adjustment adjusts both of those, but they weren't balanced. So it took me a while to figure this out. But this collar here is just an assembly collar. So what I did for this is I took out the set screws and I stored them in a plastic bag with the rest of the stuff, accessories that came with this that I won't use. And this way you can unscrew this, take it apart just like you would a tripod leg or other monopod, and you can clean it and drain out the water and those kind of things if you didn't want to drill a hole in the foot or just because it needs maintenance. This works fine even loose, so it's not critical. That part there is just an assembly, so I just leave those set screws out. This, you have to loosen these set screws and adjust the tension here until you get it to where both tubes slide with the same amount of resistance and they lock at the same point with the twist grip. And once that's done, it's really just a quarter turn, extends and retracts. Fabulous. So I'll show you how I use it. First, let me get my harness on. and I will attach the head to the Arca Swiss plate. Now, this is actually a monorail from the sharpshooter camera mount system, but just a Arca Swiss plate, Arca Swiss compatible foot will work. Now you notice I put the head on without the monopod. It is quick detach, just like the foot was, and in fact the head can plug into the foot to be a full tripod, miniature tabletop type tripod. So you can carry it like this as a walking stick. I pretty much never do. I will sometimes just carry it along like this in order to lighten the load. One of my dislikes about this is it's pretty heavy, and with the Enduro TH4 tilt head, the total weight is 3.5 pounds, 2.5 pounds without the head. So it's pretty heavy for a monopod. So sometimes just having it off and in free hand is versatile and helps. But for the most part, I just carry it like this. So when I need it, simply bring it down, it drops into place, tighten half-quarter turn, and we're ready to go. Adjust the height for whatever you're working on or with at the moment. And then when you're done, simply loosen it up and it self-retracts. That is what makes this really useful and versatile, in my opinion. Now, a lot of times I will put it down like that if I have to, like scramble underneath brush or branches or a vehicle access gate. Sometimes I'll put it like this just to change it up a little bit, or on the other side. But for the most part, I just carry it like this, and then when I want it, it's there. Dislikes. I already mentioned the weight, and I already mentioned the lack of a fixed spike. The other little dislike I have is it's got a little rattle to it. It's worse when it's unlocked, much less rattle when it's tightened down, but I want it to be unlocked so that it self-extends rapidly for use. You would think this is the weight and everything might be too much, but I average probably about 3 miles hiking with this setup, and I have done 5 miles on occasion without any fatigue or issues. So for me, this has been a game changer for wildlife photography, and where previously I preferred not to use a monopod, now I'm getting to where I prefer to take the monopod with me and use it, even though it does weigh another 3.5 pounds with the Enduro head. Well, that's my review. I hope you find it useful, and see you next time.